Hello and welcome to this Facebook Live training presentation as promised. Hopefully you can hear me. I've done this a few times now, and each time I'm now paranoid because the first time I did this, absolutely no sound was coming out, or there was sound coming out and then the sound cut off and I did the whole presentation with no sound. So if you are tuned in at the moment, I will just have a look on the Facebook group and see if it is actually coming up on this. Yes, it is. Good. Okay, so we're live. It would be really good and really helpful if you could post a comment in the Facebook Live right now, just to make sure that you can actually hear me and you can see me and that there are other people out there in the world. I did send out a few notifications to people that asked to let them know when I was going to be doing the Facebook Live, because it's kind of a little bit flexible. I never really know when I'm going to be doing them. I try and get them on the same sort of day. But yeah, it's a little bit fluid. So do let me know if you can hear me okay. And brilliant. Thank you, Stan. Always good to know that there's somebody out there in the world listening in and can actually see and hear what's going on. So thank you very much for taking the time to join me today. If you aren't able to stay through the whole presentation, don't worry. The whole thing is going to be recorded and it will be available afterwards. And the slides that I'm going to be using are going to contain a workbook. So if you would like a copy of the slides, then just type the word workbook into the comments. And then when this is all done, I will send you a link in a private message to get a copy of the workbook. So it looks like we've got a few people joining us at the moment. So let's kind of start moving on a little bit. It does take people a while to realize that there's a button they need to press to get to the live video, etc. So we will take a few minutes just to get people on board. Let me just put my slides up. There we go, and press that button. As I said, today's presentation is going to be on how to get motivated to be healthier. It's one of the things that a lot of people seem to really struggle with, getting that motivation to be healthier, to exercise more, to eat the right things, all those sorts of quandaries that we go. So first of all, huge welcome to everybody that has taken the time to come and join me today on the last day of 2020. Unless you're in Australia, in which case it's the first day of 2021. Happy New Year! I think that's right. Anyway, probably New Zealand, maybe some in Australia, because it's 5 p.m. here, so maybe they've had their New Year already. I think so. I think they have. So whilst we wait for a few more people to join in, I just wanted to properly introduce myself, because there's quite a few new people that have joined the group recently. And I just wanted to officially introduce myself and welcome you to the group. So my name is Paul Bailey, and I am a qualified nutrition coach. I'm also a qualified life coach as well, which means that when I do my coaching, it's much more holistic. It's a much more rounded approach, because it includes obviously the nutrition, but it also includes stress management and dealing with situations when life happens. So I combine the two together, and that's what makes my style of coaching and my nutrition coaching much more powerful than a lot of other people's. I'm actually diet agnostic. Don't really care. I don't subscribe to any particular diet itself. If it works for you, fantastic. That's absolutely great. My concern usually is, when you're on a diet, what are you going to do after the diet has finished? How will you progress? How will you get better? How will you grow and develop? So personally, I prefer to help people get fitter and healthier by simply eating better. I just think that's a much more rounded approach. So if you are new to the group, as I said, there's quite a few people that are new that have joined very, very recently. So you are part of the Impact Nutrition Coaching Group for gay men over 40. And why that target audience? Yeah, because I'm a gay man I'm a little bit over 40, and I just thought that we have a lot of common and a lot in common and a lot of similarities that we can relate to each other a lot better. We've been there, we've done it, we've worn the t-shirt. We've also gone to clubs not wearing the t-shirt sometimes. And I think we can just appreciate where we've been and what we're trying to achieve and what we're trying to accomplish. So the purpose of this group is to help men be fitter, healthier, and more confident, all without dieting. So you don't feel like you're missing out on anything. Today, I'm going to be teaching you on how to get motivated to be healthier. And if you stick around to the end of the presentation, there will be a live Q&A. So you're gonna get out of this what you put in. So if you do have any questions, please post them in the comments, and I will answer them at the end in the live Q&A. So again, if you don't have enough time to stick around to the end, then have a look at the recording afterwards, but post your questions as soon as they come up in your mind. Post your questions in the comments box and I will get to them. Even if you post a comment after the recording has completed, I will go back and I will answer your questions in the comments box as well. So please take the time to put in the effort to post a question, and I will get back to you. So what you're going to learn today is how to get motivated to be healthier, because we all know we should try to be healthy. So why is this so hard? And you're going to learn how to do a little bit of soul searching to find out what is the reason for you to want to be healthier. I'm going to teach you about push and pull motivation, what the difference is, and how you can use it. And also, I'm going to give you an understanding of what the state of flow means, which can really help understand what is behind motivation, what can cause you to be motivated. So as I said, at the end, I'm going to be doing a live Q&A, and this is your chance to get some help for free. So use it. It's really important that you get the help that I can provide you with, and I can do it live. I can do it for you right now. So make sure you take the time to take full advantage of this. Post any questions you have in the comments box as I'm going through the presentation, and then I'll be able to answer them at the end in the Q&A section. You are only going to get out of this what you put in. So ask the questions. There are no dumb questions. If somebody feels like they're asking a dumb question, to me, that means I probably haven't explained something in a really good way that makes it obvious to you. So please ask a question. There's probably lots of other people that are thinking about that same question too, but just haven't had the courage to sort of type that into the comments box. So please type it into the comments box and I will answer them either at the live Q&A or after in the recording. I'll come back and I'll just type a message and reply to you there. So why is it so hard to get motivated? I hear you screaming quite a lot, actually, because people they quite often say to me, I just need a bit of motivation to get going. And that's all they're waiting for. Once they've got the motivation, they're good to go. But then they just find that their motivation just isn't there. It's just lost. Their mojo has gone. So another question I get quite a lot is, how do you keep yourself motivated? How do you keep going to the gym? How do you keep eating healthy all the time? Little secret, I don't eat healthy all the time. But anyway, so how do you keep yourself motivated? Does any of this sound familiar to you? Have you ever heard yourself saying this to yourself, to somebody else, or even somebody else saying this to you? Does any of this ring true? Can you relate to what I'm talking about here? So if you want to become more motivated, you're going to have a long journey if you're just going to wait for your motivation before taking action. It really doesn't work that way, because the motivation itself actually comes from you taking action, no matter how small and how maybe even insignificant that might seem. Um, it doesn't work the other way around. Action creates motivation, not motivation creating action. So you have to make yourself take action. Does that make sense? So we're going to be moving on to the workbook now. And as I said, if you want a copy of this presentation slide with the workbook included, just type the word workbook in the comments and I'll send you a copy of it after the presentation has been completed and you can work through it yourself. Watch the recording if you like, if you want to go through it with me again, or just work through it. Hopefully I'll explain it in good enough detail that you can fill this workbook out in your own time. So first, we're going to start off with a bit of soul searching. So to help yourself take action, what we need to do is dig a little bit deeper and find out what is the reason you want to be healthy. Why? We all know we should, but why? And so the technique that I use for most of my clients is the W5 by 5. So the 5 W's and then 5 W's again at the end. And they are what, where, when, who, and why. Why, why, why. Get the idea? Why? It doesn't have to be 5 times, but it gives you a rough idea of how important the why question is. So moving on, let's start with the first one. What? What do you want? What would change if you got what you wanted? So say, for example, it's going to be losing weight, improvement in your health, having more muscle, whatever is healthier to you. Try and think about that when you're answering these questions. So when you're going through the workbook, try and write down just a little sentence for everyone if you can. If not, just as many as you can. That would be absolutely perfect. So what do you want? What would change if you got that? What would you gain by getting this, by being healthier? What would you lose by getting this? So you really have to flip your head a little bit when that comes up. What would stay the same? What would always be the same despite the fact that you be healthier? What scares you about being healthier? What excites you about being healthier? What fears do you have? I mean, what would happen if you failed? If you didn't get healthier, where are you going to end up? And what would happen if you succeed? What would your life look like? What will be different? So once you've filled out that page, go on to the next one and think about the wheres. Where have you come from? What's your history? What's your background? What are your struggles that you have been through? Because only you can answer that. Only you've lived your life. Nobody else can answer these questions for you. Where are you now? So you've been where you've come from. What's your current situation? What's your doctor telling you that you need to do? How do you feel? Where are you right now? And where do you need to be? Where do you see you want to be in the future? Where is that need, that desire? And what would you like to be? What would be a nice to have? What would be a, okay, well, this may not happen, but I would like it. So think about your wheres and then move on to the next page. The who's. Who is holding you back? For a lot of people, it's going to be you. I'm afraid there's nobody else holding you back but you. For other people, I work with a lot of people who are carers, who are caring for partners, for relatives, etc. And they tend to put a lot of pressure on themselves to focus on that person's need. So maybe that's the who that's holding you back. Who can help you? Obviously, I can help you, but Who in your circle of friends, your family, can help you with achieving a better, healthier lifestyle? Who can join you? Now, it's different to who can help you. Who can actually be with you? Who can take part in being healthier? Who can have the healthier food with you? Who can make the healthier food with you? Who can give you permission to be healthier? Again, most people, it's going to be you. But sometimes you might need permission from somebody else because another person in your life may not want to be on that healthy path that you want. Just think about that. And the final who, I love this one. Who's that little voice in your head that tells you you can't do it, that tells you you're not good enough, that tells you it's just not worth trying? You just have that piece of cake anyway. Now, quite often, this little voice in your head, just going to be you, just going to be your little devil, your little shit that always goes, no, you're not going to do that. You're going to fail. But sometimes this can actually be a parent, a grandparent, an ex-partner, somebody that used to pick away at you and really give you a really tough time. So who is that little voice in your head? And give it a name. From all my clients, the most favorite name that one person gave their little voice in their head is little bastard. Love that. Now, finally, why? The fifth W. And I like to ask people to try and ask themselves this 5 times because we want to find out, why do you want this? Why do you want to be healthier? Why is this important to you? But then dig a little deeper. Why do you want to be healthier? I sat down and asked myself this question because I wanted to go to the gym because it would make me healthier. But why did I want to go to the gym? Why did I want to be healthier? Because I wanted to look good. Okay. What else? Well, going to the gym would mean I'd have better cardiovascular. So my heart would be better. But why is that important to me? Well, my mother died when I was 13. She dropped dead literally in front of me. And I was helping my father with giving her CPR. She was 45 at the time, and I think it was about 13. I'm now 50, so I've managed to outlive the age that my mother died in front of me. That's one of my biggest whys, because I don't want to be dying at that age or even a little bit later, because now that I'm 50, I realize that 45 is not old at all. So why else is being healthy important to me? Then I look at my father. My father was fit and healthy. He ran his own business. He retired late, and as soon as he retired, he started suffering from vascular dementia, and he was bedridden for about 4 years, slowly degrading. Now, obviously, if that's the way that you're going to go, that's the way that you're going to go. But I'm of the mindset that if I can be as healthy as if I can eat as healthy, if I can keep as fit as I possibly can, if that's the way I'm going to go, that's the way I'm going to go. But I want to make sure I'm as fit and as healthy for as long as I possibly can be to enjoy my life. So once I went through all my whys, I had some pretty strong reasons why I want to be fit and healthy. Not that I want to look good, but that's a really good side effect. But I want to enjoy the rest of my life because 45 is too young to die. Actually, when my father died at 70, that's not really that old either. He was pretty active before he started to suffer. And I've seen 70, 80-year-olds that are still really super active, and I want to be like that. That's my why. What's yours? So once you've dug deep and really found out what your why is, then you found your mantra. Try and boil it down to a phrase or even a word. Mine's because I want to outlive my parents and be healthier for longer, for as long as possible, and enjoy that health. Simply being able to say that in a small and personal way, in a phrase or word that still holds the meaning of all that soul searching. Now you have your why. So now it's time to take action. Obviously, work through the workbook, take your time, do a bit of soul searching, and then we can come on to the take action bit. But I'll go through this now and see what you think. If you can't take action in the next 24 hours, you're making it too complicated. Use the KISS principle. Keep it simple, silly. And if the time really isn't right now, when will it be right? What do you need to wait for? Is there something that you need to order that needs to be delivered? Is it the gyms are closed because of lockdown? So maybe you need to come up with some alternative. What is the right time? What is really holding you back? Maybe go back through the whys and have a look through theirs and the whats and the whos. What needs to change? Who, what, or why is holding you back? Is it something that you really want? I have discovered that there's an interesting concept that people often think about the fear of failure. And that happens to a lot of people. They're so worried about taking action because, well, what if it goes wrong? But then there's also people that suddenly don't do something because they're worried about, well, what if it does go right? What if I do lose weight? What if I do get fitter and look better and have more confidence and I'm still single? Then it wasn't the fitness, it wasn't the better body, it wasn't any of that stuff that meant I was single. It was something else. And then that opens up a whole new world of, oh my God, well, what else now do I have to fix? So the fear of success is actually quite an interesting one to think about too. What needs to be in place for you to take action? What do you need to start? Always go back to keep it simple, silly. If you can't do it in the next 24 hours, it's too complicated. Just make it simple. What is the one KISS action that you can take in the next 24 hours? I'm going to go to push pull motivation now. I want you to have a think about the stuff that I've just covered in the soul searching. And I want you to think about, are there any questions that you'd like to ask? Pop them in the comments now, because when I come onto the Q&A, I'll go back and I'll go through those questions. Okay. So if there are any questions, please do post them in the comments. All right. We'll go on to the pull push motivation now. What the hell is pull push motivation? What is that? So push motivation is what most people are extremely familiar with. It's what you want to get away from. You want to get away from poor health. You want to get away from lack of confidence, your low energy levels. Think of it in a really sort of caveman sense of being chased by a lion. You just want to get away from it. You have no sense of direction. You just know that that's not what you want. Another similarity is quitting smoking. You know when you want to quit smoking, but that's the push motivation. It's pushing you away from what you don't want. And that can be good, but it's usually not enough. You need more. You need a reason. You need a direction to go in. So the push motivation is going to be what most people think about. Pull motivation is where you want to head towards. It's pulling you even towards where you want to go. So getting fitter as you get older means you need less medication. You have less injuries. You're going to have fewer visits to the doctor. That's always a good thing, I think. You will feel good about yourself. And not just the way that you look, but just good that you're actually looking after yourself. You'll have more energy to do the things that you love. What are the things that you love to do? Travel, dancing, cooking. What is it that you love to do and you'd like to do for longer, for as long as you possibly can? Vision boards are a little bit cheesy, but they do work. Think about what you want to achieve. What does that look like? Join Pinterest. Get images of things that you want and the dream holiday, a wedding, a, a, a job, a business, a house, whatever it is that you want. Think about where you want to be, and how you can get there will be much easier for you. And that's the pull motivation. Pull motivation can be so much more fun and more powerful. But you put the two together, the pull and the push motivation, you've suddenly got two different things literally pushing and pulling you in the right direction of where you want to go and away from where you want to be, where you've come from. And the last bit I wanted to talk about really in this presentation is flow. What the hell is flow? Okay, so on the left-hand side here is the diagram of flow. And along the bottom, we have your skill level. To the left is low skill level. So it doesn't take a lot of skill. It's very easy for you to do. And a high skill level is something that you've learned over time. You've developed that skill. You've grown better at doing this thing. And then on the vertical axis, we have how challenging something is for you. So right at the bottom is going to be low challenge, and at the top is very high challenge. So the way that this works is basically low challenge and low skill, apathy. It's not challenging you. It doesn't take a lot of effort. You don't really need a lot of skills to do it. It's not very exciting. So probably something that you just have to do, but it's not something you do willingly. On the other hand, top left-hand corner, really challenging for you, but you don't yet have the skills for it. It's going to cause you anxiety. You're going to be worried about whether you can do this or not. Then bottom right-hand corner, relaxation, something that you've got lots of skill in, but it's not terribly challenging for you to do, but you just like doing it because you've built up the skills and it's become easy for you to do that. Combine the two together, something that's taken a lot of skill, or you've built your skill up to be able to do this, but it's still challenging. That'll take you up to flow. And flow is kind of what it sounds like. It's when you're in the flow of something, when you've learned to do something and it still challenges you a bit, you get into the zone. You really feel like what you're doing right now is the only thing that you can think about, and it's the only thing you care about. That's flow. So thinking about motivation, getting yourself towards flow means a balance of the skills that you have and the challenge that it causes you to be in. And if we can increase those both about the same, that's going to increase your motivation and put you into a state of flow. Now, there is another one on the right-hand side. I call them Cartesian quadrants, and it makes it sound very fancy. But basically, what it involves is movement from being unconsciously incompetent all the way through to unconsciously competent. And the best way to really describe this is if you think about learning to drive a car. So when you're a kid, you don't really think about the fact that you can't drive a car. You're unconsciously incompetent. You're unaware that you lack the skill of how to drive a car. Once you become of age that you can start to learn to drive, you realize this is actually quite complicated. So you become consciously incompetent. You're aware that there is a skill of driving, but you're not proficient at it yet. So you start to learn to drive, and you've had a few lessons, and maybe you've even passed your test and got your driver's license, but you're still at the stage of consciously competent. You're able to drive, but you're really having to think about it. Making sure that you're taking off the handbrake, making sure you're changing gears at the right time, making sure that you're obeying all the road signs. And it's hard work. And I must admit, a few of my clients that I work with on a one-to-one basis go through this phase where they think, do you know what? I'm thinking about food. I'm talking about food. I'm buying food. I'm storing food. I'm thinking about food all the time. And that's because they're in the consciously competent phase. And ultimately, what we're aiming to do is get towards unconsciously competent. So again, going back to the driving scenario, that's when you jump in your car, you go on your daily commute, and you get to the end of it, you think, I don't actually remember a lot of that drive. I don't remember if that light was red or if I gave way at that sign, because it just happened automatically. You didn't even have to think about it. And your mind has just done it for you. And that's where you want to get to. So when you're talking about motivation in particular, it is quite difficult to start with. And especially when you get to consciously competent, you just feel like it's quite heavy because you're having to work quite hard. But ultimately, your motivation takes over and you will end up as unconsciously competent in being healthy. So we're going to move on to the Q&As. I see a couple of the people have popped in some questions already, which is fantastic. Thank you so much for doing that. I will go through those. I'll give you a few seconds to type in a few more questions if you have them. And then we will go on to the Q&As. So as this system is being broadcast, it can be a little bit slow. So it takes almost like a minute of me talking to actually go through and get to the live stream at the other end. So whilst we wait for people to post additional questions, I just wanted to remind you about jumping on a phone call with me or a Skype call or a Facebook call. It's free. It's a 50-minute call. It's not a sales pitch. It's just my way of helping people cut through the confusion and the overwhelm and find out what you need to focus on to move forward. I open up a few slots each week, and I've only got a few slots left because it's January tomorrow and everybody is jumping on the New Year's bandwagon, which it's great for me, but it does mean that I don't have a lot of time to do these calls. So if you are really interested in improving your health and fitness, then post pick me in the comments and I'll get in touch with you afterwards and we'll arrange a 15-minute call to help you focus on what you need to do moving forward. Okay, type pick me in the comments box and I'll get back to you. So on to the Q&A. Let me see. Yep, that's it. So let me jump over to the Facebook page and let's have a look. Let me just refresh that, see if I can get the latest comments up. Right, so we have... I like going to the gym all over the wellness, yeah. Eye candy is a plus when you go to the gym. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, especially here in the UK, thanks to Tier 4, the gyms are all closed. So it's not so good at the moment, but YouTube's always there. You can load up some good YouTube videos and have a look at the eye candy there. So what have we got here? I've been trying for years, and have a lot at the amount of gyms and still film the same as I did 20 years ago. Brilliant. Any tips for coping with mental health, depression, anxiety when trying to get fitter and healthier? Now, this is a really hot topic, and it's something I feel incredibly passionate about. Let me just see who asked that, because it doesn't tend to show me for some reason on this page. So it's not come up. Let me just have a look and see if I can work out how to do this. So let me show this question here. I don't know who's asked this because it's not coming up on my system for some reason, and I can't see it in the comments box. So I'm sorry if I don't answer your name, talk to you by name, but I will go through this. Mental health is quite a passion of mine, and working with people who are struggling with anxiety and mental health, depression, whatever it is, it's tough. It really is tough. And taking small steps that are achievable, that may seem too simple, too easy, it's a great way of coping. It's a great way of taking that first step. Be gentle on yourself. Little steps. If you can win just a little bit every single day, and then have a look back at the progress that you've made, that's usually the best way to do it. Getting somebody that can hold you accountable can help. Writing in a diary or a journal has always helped me when I've been going through a really tough time. Journaling has always been something that's helped. I found that journaling is a great way of getting stuff out of your head and really allowing you to externalize. Seems to help make it easier for you to be clear about what it is that's troubling you. So take little steps and externalize some of the stuff, either through journaling, talking to a friend, or talking to a partner, whatever works for you the best. Let me just drop this screen back in so you can see me a bit better. There we go. So thank you for that question. I do really appreciate it. And the next one, what tips do you have for hunger? I've been trying to intake more water, but all I do is wee. Any tips? Yeah, that is what tends to happen. If you are hungry, you're not getting the nutrition that you need. That's a key signal that you've already made a mistake in your nutrition. You shouldn't be hungry. A little bit of hunger, yeah, fine, that's no problem. But if you're actually hungry, then you're not getting enough nutrition. It could be calories, but it could also be protein. It could be healthy fats. It could be vitamins, minerals. It could be all sorts of things. So having a look at actually why you're hungry is probably more important. If, for example, you're trying intermittent fasting, you are going to be hungry, but at least we know why. When I've done intermittent fasting, I found that hot drinks help better with suppressing your hunger pangs. And it also means because it's hot, you're not drinking so much of it. But you are going to end up going to the toilet quite a lot for a number of reasons. One of them is that obviously you're ingesting more water, so it's going to go through your system a lot more. But also, if you're hungry, and that usually means that you're not getting enough calories, it is going to mean that your body is flushing out excess carbohydrates that you have in your body. And carbohydrates hold on to 4 times more water than protein or fats. So as you're intermittent fasting, or if you're on a low calorie diet, your body is going to be releasing more water, which is why people that start off on a diet suddenly lose lots of weight in the first 4 weeks, because it's not weight, it's water. So that's why. So yeah, have hot drinks, but more importantly, have a look at why you're hungry. and drop me a message afterwards, and we can have a chat about why you're hungry. You shouldn't be hungry. Where can we get healthy food tips for breakfast, lunch, and dinner that would be good to sustain me? There's a free PDF that, as a member of the group, you should have already received when you joined. That PDF has loads of suggestions and ideas about breakfast, about lunch, about dinner, and even making yourself a super shake. If you do feel that you're not going to have a full meal or something like that. So have a look through the free PDF. If you don't have a copy of it, ask in the comments, ask for the PDF in the comments, and I will send you a copy of that. So if you haven't yet posted this comment, post workbook in the comments so that I know to send you a copy of the presentation slides and the workbook. Next one. Lunch for me is always eating quick and cheap rubbish. Yeah, I know the feeling. I've been there, I've done that, I've worn the t-shirt. There's always a better way of doing it. Either meal prep, taking your own food, having something, even if it's a protein shake or something like that, just something that you've got that is still quick and cheap and easy, but it's healthier. Because if you're in a situation where you have a canteen or you have a vending machine and that's basically all that's available to you, having healthy snacks and meal prep, something that you brought with you on hand, is going to help. I used to do shift work, and that was critical because I was going to be awake from 10 o'clock at night till 7 o'clock in the morning. There were no canteens open at the time. I had to bring my own food. So it was slightly easier, but there was a vending machine. So I took my own food, and I rapidly discovered, really useful for anybody else that's working shifts, when you're working overnight, you think initially that you're hungry because you're trying to work through the tiredness, whereas actually you don't need as much food as you think you might do. And I found towards the end of my shift work that I really just needed one or two snacks, like a healthy Go bar or granola bar or something like that. My main meal, which would be, I don't know, frozen chili con carne with some brown rice or something like that, and just a little bit of chocolate. Huge fan of chocolate. Obviously, I would not go for the milk chocolate because I would just be able to eat the whole thing and just devour it. So I would buy the really dark chocolate, like 70-80% chocolate, just a couple of pieces of that, just to tide me over. And I actually found that helped a lot with my digestion. Because of the shift work, which is kind of thrown out a little bit, I didn't need as much food as I actually wanted. So for lunch, quick, cheap, easy meal prep. Take your own food. You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you, Jonathan Hawkins. How do you deal with the constant health fears? Let's pop that one up. I'm healthy, but I worry when anytime I feel unwell, I catastrophize it, which brings on anxiety. I know so many people, including myself, that are fantastic catastrophizers. Learning to do a technique that I use with a lot of clients, especially when they're dealing with anxiety. You're great at doing the catastrophe, what will go wrong, and go really badly wrong. It's a power. It's a superpower that we have to be able to catastrophize something that has virtually no chance of that happening that bad to that degree. So go ahead and do that, but then think about the complete opposite. What would be sky in the pie perfection? What would be the best result that you could have? And play devil's advocate to your devil. So this will be what's going horribly wrong. This is what would be awesome the great result. And then ask yourself, what would be in the middle? What would be okay? What would be a decent result? What would be most likely a result? Think about that. And that way you've got the worst, you've got the best, and you've got actually what's much more likely. What would be okay? What would be normal? Think about it that way. So hopefully that will help. It certainly helped me with my anxiety. And give it a go. Let me know if that works for you. So I think we've run out of questions. I don't think there are any more coming in right now. So if you do have any more questions, or you're watching this recording, please go ahead, post the comments, post the questions. I will come back to them. Post workbook, post PDF, and post pick me if you want me to get in touch with you to arrange that 15-minute focus call. I hope you found this useful, and have a wonderful new year. I really hope it's going to be better than this year, because it can't be much worse, surely. And I look forward to working with you, speaking to you, and doing more live presentations in the new year. Happy New Year, everyone. You take care. I'll speak to you very, very soon. Love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.